Hey everybody, I am ARMR, and what I watched today is Book 3, Chapter 5 of Avatar The Last Airbender, The Beach. We open with Zuko and, as I like to call them occasionally, the Zukettes, being shipped off to Ember Island for a forced vacation. As they arrive, they meet a couple old ladies who are a great source of comedy in this episode, at least for the first part here. And at one point, they take off their robes to reveal swimsuits, and May helpfully covers Zuko's eyes for him. So, thanks May, because earlier he threw up at the idea of them being young at one point, apparently. Some of the jokes fell a little flat, but it was mostly a funny scene. And then we switch to Aang and crew swimming, and Toph of all people is worried that Aang is exposing himself too much, because his tattoos are just visible as he swims. Katara argues that the basin they're in is completely walled off, so they should be safe for now. So Aang throws that out the window and jumps down an outlet and rides it down because it looks fun, and admittedly it does look fun. It's basically a natural water slide. But, of course, as soon as he falls out of it, he's spotted by Fire Nation soldiers who immediately send a message. We return to Zuko's crew, hitting the beach. Ty Lee and Azula look like they're enjoying the sun, and May and Zuko are just hiding under an umbrella. Zuko is trying to, tend to May, but he seems to be having trouble understanding her needs. He gets her a seashell, but, she's not really into pretty things. He gets her ice cream and then spills it on her. He is adorably awkward in this episode. And Ty Lee, meanwhile, is using a boy for shade and manipulating another one into doing something else for her. She's being Ty Lee, basically. And then Azula, after a bit, declares, you know what, we're going to play beach volleyball. At this point, we see that Ty Lee has amassed an entire male harem serving her hand and foot. Zuko whips off his shirt to go play, and a group of girls nearby just sort of swoons over him. And when they play beach volleyball, they play. Azula is super intense about it. She ends up setting the fire to the net at the end, and she is just taking it way too seriously. But this is Azula. If she's not the best at what she does, she's not going to do it. Two beach douches invite Ty Lee and May to their party, but apparently don't recognize Zuko and Azula. So they end up inviting them sort of begrudgingly, like, oh, well, we want your friends to come, so we'll invite you too. And, Azula is completely flabbergasted. People, talking to her like she's not important. Talking to her like a commoner. And she's like, don't they know who I am? Okay. But not long after this, Azula gives a speech to the others basically saying she wants to see how the people at the party will treat them. She's so used to everybody worshipping her because they know who she is that she's kind of curious. So, I can kind of see that. Okay, let's see how it goes. I can also see her being incredibly evil about it, but I can see where her desire is coming from. It's at this point that we see the message from the soldiers being intercepted by Zuko's assassin from a couple episodes ago. So, the Avatar is, safe at this point. And they arrive at the party, and apparently when she's not being worshipped, Azula has no idea how to act. She's extremely awkward trying to impress the party's host, and Zuko, he starts acting jealous because he thinks that May is going for the other douche friend of Chan's. It's kind of funny seeing him be so insecure. And not long into the party, the boys from the beach end up crowding around Ty Lee, trying to force her to say who her favorite is. Instead of deciding, she just knocks them all the fuck out. And then goes to Azula for help. Azula snaps at her and makes Ty Lee cry, basically going, oh boo-hoo, I'm the center of attention, and says some other really nasty things to Ty Lee. Of course, Azula is not all completely horrible, so she apologizes, she admits she's out of her element, and she lashed out at Ty Lee without meaning to. And she gets some advice from Ty Lee on how to, charm guys. We go over to May and Zuko for a moment, and May is just basically going, find me some food. Given her usual attitude, it's hard to tell if she's really pissed at him yet, but they are a little tense. And that sets up what happens later in the episode there, so it's really well done. And using Ty Lee's advice, Azula charms the host of the party. She acts like a total airhead, and he goes for it. And then she sort of blows it by reverting to her usual self and scaring him off. And really, I'm surprised that she wanted that kind of attention. Like, it's fine for Ty Lee, sure, but why would Azula want the attention of someone who she has to pretend to be inferior to in order to get him to listen? I don't get it. Anyway, I can sort of see her being out of her element and trying something different, so it was really fun to see. It just kind of confused me a little from, like, what we know of her personality. Then we flip back to Zuko getting May's food, and he blows up seeing another guy talking to May. Well, she points out his horrible temper. He yells at her for her apparent lack of passion for anything, and May dumps him. So, like, he's thrown the other guy against the wall, broken a vase. Zuko gets thrown out of the party, and we get a really quiet scene with no dialogue that is just beautiful as he walks along the beach and remembers the past. He breaks into their old summer home and looks at some stuff that was left behind, and you can sort of see him thinking about the past, like, really lost in it, wondering, like, why he hasn't recovered what he lost. Like, why is he still so angry and unfulfilled? We return to the Avatar gang for a moment as the assassin finds him, and we see that he has a really cool variation of firebending. This weird, like, oxygen explosion kind of thing centered around his third eye. And the design of this guy is super intimidating. I mean, damn. And his unique firebending, also awesome. I can't wait to see what they do with him later. We don't get a lot of him in this episode, but we do get enough to whet my appetite. We return to Zuko and crew, and, like, Azula finds him and takes him down to the beach where the others are waiting, and Zuko implies that he wants to he's going to start a fire by burning a lot of stuff from their summer home. We go back to the assassin and Team Avatar, and Aang tries running to distract him so the others can get away. And then right back to Zuko burning a picture of his family. Ty Lee tries to talk to him, but Zuko stonewalls her, declaring that, he doesn't care. And this is when the crew sort of start airing out their issues around the fire. Ty Lee talks about her family life and how she had 6 sisters. I mean, holy crap, 6 sisters. And apparently all of them born around, close enough to each other that it was hard to tell her apart from the others. And apparently that's why she's such an attention seeker, is because, as a kid, people always got her lumped in with her sisters, and half the time it wasn't even like she had her own name. Ouch. Feel for you. I feel for you, Ty Lee. Zuko talks about his anger issues a bit, and he brings up May's seemingly total apathy, which apparently stems from her parents' control over her life as a kid. She was never allowed to act out, to express herself, to show any emotion, lest she cause problems for her dad's political career. Dang. This show is making me feel for the bad guys. I mean, come on. Like, this is another example of just how brilliant the writing of this show is. You can take these characters that are technically the antagonists and make me care so much about them. So, again, good job to the writers. I mean, damn. And then they get on Zuko as he mentions, like, even with his dad loving him now and all this other stuff, he's not happy. He's still so angry, and after a lot of pushing from the others, he admits that he's angry at himself because he doesn't know what's right or wrong anymore. He doesn't know what he should do. And then they all sort of turn to Azula as if expecting her to chime in, and for a moment it almost sounds like she is. She's like, my own mother thought I was a monster. But then in her usual glib fashion, she's like, she was right, of course, but it still hurt. Azula, you're evil, but I love you. You're just funny. You're hilarious. You are adorable in your complete embracing of just how evil you are. Kudos. After airing all their dirty laundry and feeling a bit better about themselves, I decide to go have a little fun by trashing the jerk's house and ending his party. And that's where the episode ends. His house burning while they smile for the camera, quote-unquote. It first ends on a freeze frame of Zuko and company smiling while the house burns behind them. So I guess that's what you get for not recognizing them, dude. This was a really fun episode, but I do like that they snuck in that bit of character development near the end, giving us a little more background on Ty Lee, Mei, and Zuko, and that little aside from Azula. I mean, yeah, she pretends she doesn't care. I mean, she says it still hurt, but in a way you can tell she's kind of trying to pass it off like she doesn't care. But yeah, I'm starting to also feel a little bad for Azula, like getting a little more about how she is or who she is. Which is nice after all the like self-confident, total evil we've seen so far. I can't wait to see what they do next, and I'll see you guys next episode.